Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing was a game of all time. I remember playing this thing everywhere. I had it on DS, Xbox 360, and even on my iPod Touch many moons ago. But it has seriously been probably 12 or 13 years since I've last touched this thing, so I'm ready for a nostalgia blast. Of course, we aren't playing it normally. We, as always, have Retro Achievement support, which is going to make this the largest, non-Mario, set we've ever done with 99 whole achievements. They range from beating certain cups with certain characters, to completing all the game's missions, to driving 4 million miles, to special track-specific challenges, and the worst of all, beating every single Grand Prix on hard mode, which, let me tell you right now, was a disaster. Alright, let's do this. I named myself Pajama, chose Shadow as my profile picture because he's the greatest of all time, and here we go. The way that the Grand Prix works in this achievement set is that each cup on each difficulty has a specific character linked to it. Additionally, we need to get first place on every track to get 40 points for the achievements to pop. Our first playthrough of the Chow Cup on Easy is going to be with the one and only Amy Rose. So the first track of this entire set is going to be Whale Lagoon, styled after Sonic the Hedgehog. This is honestly your typical first track. Clear paths and it isn't too long. For our first item box, I got triple homing missiles, and after sending all 3 out, I got my first achievement, Afterburner, which was for taking out 3 opponents with a single item. After I made my way around the track 3 times, going around the crossing paths, around the wood road, and through this loop, I finished the race in first place, which got me the achievement Super Hang On. For this one, I had to be in first place for the entire time in the last 2 laps. The second track in Chow Cup is Icicle Valley from Billy Hatcher. By the way, I've never played Billy Hatcher, nor seen any footage of the game until right now when I'm editing this. Am I a fake fan? Should I play it? But this track is a nothing burger. There are some eggs in the way that serve as stage hazards, but this one is just a simple loop that takes about 30 seconds. 3 times around and we're good. Course 3 is Roulette Road. I love to gamble and I love how everything Sonic related has a casino. I just love losing all my money. Okay. This track is actually pretty interesting. As you make your way onto the roulette wheel, there's a hole carved out that you have to go through, which I learned the hard way on my 3rd lap when I missed it and made it so that I got 3rd place and had to restart the entire cup. On my way back though, something interesting happened. Back in Whale Lagoon, I accidentally unlocked an achievement, which was for speed boosting over the starting line each time I passed it. I was able to do this because I was getting used to the drift function, and just so happened to have a good speed boost around this turn every time I made it to the finish line. A surprise achievement for sure. Then I actually got another one in Icicle Valley for not having any collisions during an entire race. And I'm only noticing this now, but the reason I was able to get this one was because of pure luck. Like I said before, this stage is probably the easiest in the game, but the game was also feeding me a ton of shields, so I could activate one anytime some sort of attack was coming my way. I crossed that finish line completely unscathed. Back in Roulette Road, all I had to do this time was not make the mistake of missing the hole in the ground. Just go through it every single time, and I was able to cross that finish line in first place. The last race of this cup is Studio Amigo from Samba de Amigo, which is a pretty neat little rhythm game. Like the other races in the Chow Cup, the course design is pretty straightforward without too much going on. This one is a simple track, but it does feature this cool area with a huge piano we drive on. Funnily enough, this one gave me immense nostalgia. I don't know why, but this one stuck with me all these years later. Another first place, and we beat Chow Cup with 40 points, and because of that, we've unlocked a few achievements here. First was for Amy Chow Cup 40 points, the next was for winning my first Grand Prix, and the last was for beating an entire cup with 40 points. At this point, there isn't much to do other than just hop right into the next cup. But I had a problem. This next Chivo needed me to beat it as Jackie Bryant, who I hadn't unlocked yet. Thankfully, for beating the Chow Cup though, I had enough money to go into the shop and purchase him as a character, which also unlocked an achievement. Alright, into Graffiti Cup on easy mode. This one starts with Shibuya Downtown. This is another simple track, but the gimmick here is that there are boost pads all around that really help bring up your speed. Boost pads aren't new to this game. They were in other stages already, but the sheer amount of them in this one makes it notable. They're set up in such a way that you can sort of chain them together and have a boost speed for most of the track. It's fun. Next race is Outer Forest, which is a spooky, scary, haunted house level. This time, there are zombies scattered about the track, and we get to briefly enter and jump through the haunted house, which is a cool set piece. There's also a splitting path about halfway through this stage in this bush area. Don't know if one path is faster than the other, it's possible, but this race was quick to get through. Then comes Turbine Loop, which is a long track. Really, it's just a big long loop, as the name of the track may imply. But the problem is there isn't all too much going on here. There's some robots in the way every once in a while, but it's really not hard to dodge them. So during this race though, though, I did send one of my homing missiles backwards at Knuckles and hit him, which unlocked an achievement for hitting someone with an item's alternate firing mode. Then, right at the start of this last track of the cup, Treetops, I managed to do a boost off the start for my first time, which got our 10th achievement of the set. Wow, already about a 10th of the way through. Not bad. This track might be one of my least favorites. Let me explain. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Super Monkey Ball, but tracks like this with insane 90-degree turns and small confined spaces don't really make sense in a racing game, especially during a first playthrough where you have no clue where to go next. To my surprise though, not really, we are on easy mode, I made it through the race in first, which got me the achievement for 40 points in Graffiti Cup as Jackie Bryant. The next character we gotta use is that dude I mentioned earlier, Billy Hatcher. We gotta get through the Egg Cup with him. Hatch? Egg? Track 1 is Rampart Road, and this one is honestly one of my favorites because it has a genuinely unique design. I'm a huge fan of castles in video games, and this one takes place around one of them. And my favorite part is this floating wood bridge area that is actually pretty hard to keep on. There's also a secret path, but I won't discover that until way later down the road. But yeah, this track is cool, and it gets a thumbs up from me. Next up is Dark Arsenal. Let me put it to you straight. Long, flat roads with laps that take a minute and a half do not make for good stages. Sega, take note. But I guess each track can't be a banger like Rampart Road, so. Course 3 is Jump Parade, and this one has a completely separate issue. In this track, you are confined to a pretty narrow road. Like, it's maybe 3.5 carts wide, and once again, no diverging paths or really much of anything. There's some fun jumps with boost pads and bridges, but I mean, at least it's not the worst track with a narrow road. There's one way worse later. It felt like the heavens above opened up and shined a light atop my very head when getting to the next stage, because we got more casino, baby. Well, it's pinball, but we all know that pinball is the gateway drug to gambling addiction. Pinball highways Pinball Highway's big set piece is this section here with bumpers and stuff that can hit you if you suck at driving. But I got my license years ago, so it really was no issue for me. Also, I imagine stages like this were the inspiration for Mario Kart 8's gravity function, because you're driving all around in corkscrews and stuff. It's pretty sick. Good job innovating, Sega. But with that, we were all good and got 40 points as Billy Hatcher. Not only that, we also reached 250,000 lifetime miles, so another Chivo for that. I had to go into the shop and buy this character Mobo for the next one. I guess he's from a Sega Genesis game. Anyone know about it? Well, he has a giant Roblox head. We gotta take on Horror Cup with him, and Horror Cup starts with sewer scrapes. I'm a huge fan of neon green toxic goo and driving into walls, so this stage was cool. Once we get out of the sewer though, we get to a part with zombies, then fall into some sort of sewer entrance to make the loop. Next track is Lost Palace, and I don't know what's up with Sega in this era, but they just loved beach stages in Sonic. All of the tracks from Sonic in this game are beach and water themed. Well, except for some of like Eggman stages, but there are 3 ocean stages. I can't complain though, because I do like them a lot. This one starts on the sand, goes into this drift section, around a corkscrew, flip on the bridge, around another drift section, then all the way back around to the start. Nothing to note really happened in this race. On to the next. Sandy Drifts is the next Monkey Ball themed level, and this one has more sharp turns than the last. It's got like pyramids and stuff, and you gotta go in these geometric sharp turn figure 8 shaped things. I got bumped a lot, but I made it through because, well, we're on easy mode and there's nothing really that challenging about these CPUs. As our reward for going through that mess of a track, we get a simple city driving loop in the form of Rokaku Hill, which is a stupid name because there's barely a hill here. Maybe like a 10-degree angle up for a second until you go back underground, but I wouldn't even consider this thing a hill. Misleading, try again. Maybe make it a bit steeper next time. But that's all for this cup. Boom, Chivo. I got to unlock Chewy next, who's from Choo Choo Rocket. I love this dude, he's so cute, look at him. And we're gonna take him into the second to last cup of the game, the Samba Cup. So the Samba Cup starts off with one of the hardest courses in my opinion, Sunfair. Remember that last Samba de Amigo stage? Well, this one is even more narrow and even more windy, so I just end up bumping all around, all over the place, hitting walls, and overall, I'm saying all a lot, I have a bad time with this one. At least at this point where my driving skills aren't exactly good. I'm still getting used to the game here. At least the CPUs are a joke and I can get out of this one. Highway 0 is actually pretty sick. It mostly takes place inside of this underground tunnel area that has these half pipes to drive around and hit boost pads on. It's super fun to drift all around and it's satisfying to do. I give it 2 2 thumbs up this time. Also has this cute kitty at the start. 3 laps, you're done. Track 3 is Deadly Route, another horror haunted house themed level. And this one is also cool because you get to drive straight through this room, which I imagine is a dining room or ballroom or something of the sorts. Then into, I think, a clock tower or regular tower. Not too sure, it's not very clear. Then on top of houses, around a pathway back into the haunted mansion again. I like it. The last track of this here cup is Ocean Ruin, another Sonic Beach level. Wow, who would have thought? I like this one. We go into this underwater level reminiscent of Mario Kart Wii. Then we blast through the sky into another tunnel that leads us to this bridge back to the start where we kinda drive straight for a while. At the end of lap 2, I launch myself into the water. Not a skilled gamer, I guess. And we are done getting 40 points as Chewy, then also achieve it for 500,000 miles. We only have one more cup in the game, and this time we gotta use the goat, Big the Cat, in order to get through it. The Monkey Cup, which starts off with, alright, I'm not gonna scream again, but it's another casino. We start off by driving towards this super steep slope that my real life car definitely couldn't make it up. Then fly through here, around this roulette board. It's freaking cool as heck, man. Okay, the game bugged here. I thought I was crazy. We got first place. Look, first place. Then, when we get to the scoreboard, Tails is above me? Excuse me? So even though I'm the GOAT driver, I had to restart and do this stage over again. Something I haven't had to do since Chow Cup. This time I won though. And now Lava Layer is fire. Literally. We go around a cool volcano and then go outside of it and then go in this wood bridge, which has no place in the lava layer because it should burn. Bad architectural design. Then outside again, so cool. I like this level theme, big ups for me. Course 3 is more monkey ball theme, and they just love tight angles with these ones, huh? To me, it seems like the devs wanted us to hate monkey ball, like they had a vendetta for the series, like it killed their loved one or something. Or maybe made them nauseous. That would be more likely. Okay, it isn't any more clear that these level designs are kind of off than it is during the ship section, where you need to make a ton of U-turns just over and over again. They're trying to make me nauseous. I fell very far behind in this race to the point where I got an all-star item, which made it worse. Come on, Froggy. Needless to say, I lost and had to do this all over again. But next time, I was far more prepared and just let go of acceleration around corners and made it through in first place. The last race of this last cup is Thunder Deck, which is just another long loopy circle industrial level. At least this one has Sonic loop-de-loops. Yeah, each lap takes around a minute. So 3 minutes later, I was done, which got me a bunch of achievements. First for playing each course at least once, then for getting 40 points as Big, then for getting first place in every single cup. We've now seen every single track in the game, and before I move on to medium mode, I'd like to say a little word from our sponsor. Alert! There is no sponsor on this video other than the like and sub buttons. Sorry to sell out, but also use your hype. I had a video reach top 100 hype videos on the entire platform, so maybe we can get number 1 perhaps? Okay, please subscribe. Back to the video. So, with how easy mode was, you'd think that medium would be a slight uptick in difficulty. Nothing too crazy, right? Wrong. And I learned this the hard way when I took Tails into the Chow Cup. It took me a lot of attempts just to get out of Whale Lagoon, and the reason why isn't that the racers are now faster, which is true by the way, they are pretty fast now. It is just the amount of items that get thrown at you. You might think I'm over exaggerating. In my last lap, I barely made it through in first after being hit by 2 missiles in short succession. The only reason I won was because I was lucky enough to have a missile of my own to take out Eggman to pass him. Just note, this was a fluke. Beginner's luck. Icicle Valley is a joke, so let's skip it and look at Roulette Road. Things started off normal enough until I got hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And I mean, at that point, you just can't win. It's not possible. Things are not good. Back to Whale Lagoon, and this time, I got messed up, man. It took me 9 attempts at Whale Lagoon to make it through. 9. It took me half an hour to get another attempt past it. And it was because of a constant bombardment of item spam at me. It felt hopeless. It was like whether the gods of this game wanted me to make it through or not. I mean, in the attempt I won, I just wasn't hit very much. Seriously strange. This time I made it all the way through Roulette Road and into Studio Amigo. Listen, I didn't really want to say my strategy because I don't know if it was based on reality or not, but there was something I was doing different on this attempt. And it might be a confirmation bias, but I think it could be true. I read online that it seems when you're drifting, the CPUs get more and more aggressive. For some reason, like I said, I can't confirm this, but on this run through of the Chow Cup, I was drifting a lot less, and it seemed to be working. It also helps to keep a shield on you as long as you can so you can pop it when needed. Keep an eye on that bottom screen there, buddy. Eggman was on my tail. here, but I made it through for medium mode Chow Cup with tails. Next, we had to use BD Joe in Graffiti Cup, and to my surprise, this complete loop circle nothing burger of a stage was a disaster for me. I mean, there are a lot of items and not a lot of areas for you to make a lead against the CPUs, so that made it tough. It took me 3 tries, so still not as bad as Whale Lagoon. Then race 2 was actually a breeze. I had a mega lead here the whole time, and I was pocketing a shield in case of emergencies, so that was fine. Same with Turbine Loop. Treetops, though, was a complete nail biter. I was in 2nd place going into lap 3. I lagged behind to 3rd place for a second until I was blessed with 3 speed shoes, which helped me get closer to 1st. I used the last shoe, got into 1st place, and was given another shoe. And just as I almost got past, I used it to launch myself to the goal. Very lucky fluke. Now I had to unlock Opa Opa to go into our 3rd medium cup. Now, this one starts off with my favorite course, so I won't complain. But I was getting completely destroyed here, and I didn't know why. Well, I wouldn't actually say completely destroyed. I just decided to breeze past me over the finish line like it was nothing. On my 2nd try, I made it through to Industrial World, where I unfortunately lost after this complete mess of an ending. Just items flying everywhere. Then I lost again in the 1st race, then got back to Dark Arsenal, where this time I had a complete lead the entire time. I lost miserably in race 3, which meant back to the start again, which, by the way, I finally discovered the shortcut here that you get to by just driving off the stage. Through Dark Arsenal, through Jump Parade with a decent lead, and finally into Pinball Highway for the last race, where I messed myself up by driving face first into a wall here at the very beginning, and I just couldn't claw my way back to the front no matter how hard I tried. I would get close, then hit multiple times in a row, then get close again, and I just lost it all. So back to the start it was again. This is not fun. Thank goodness I made it back to race 4 in my next try, because I would have lost it. But guess what though? I won. After an hour and 16 minutes of attempts at just this cup. Good thing I'm persistent. I actually got an extra Chivo here because it was the 10th time I won a Grand Prix. So I guess like 38 minutes per achievement on average. That's a little better. So next we have the Horror Cup as the one and only Shadow the Hedgehog. And I guess Shadow truly just is the GOAT because I made it through every single race in 1st place on my 1st try. I think that the no drifting tip is working well for me right now, but we'll see how that goes when we get into hard mode later on. During Monkey Ball stage, I did 3 tricks during 1 jump, which got me a Chivo, and then achievement for winning. Now was Ooh La La in the Samba Cup, which starts off with my least favorite stage, as we know, Sunfair. At least now that I was getting more used to driving, so I wasn't as bumpy. So after a couple tries, I got through. Highway 0 though, this stage was a pain for me. I got here, was far behind on my 1st attempt to item spam. But as I thought I was making ground getting back to 1st place, once again they got me and I lost. Same story in my next run that made it, and the one after that. But then I made it to Deadly Route, where on lap 2 I got destroyed in the clock tower over and over, but crawled back into the front and beat the race on my 1st try. Sonic Ocean Sea Beach level 2 was the last course we got to get, but we kept it neck and neck with 1st place for most of the race, and it was a photo finish at the very end, where I just barely lost to Mobo. Then it was 25 whole minutes of grueling agony to get back to the last race. It took so long to get through, it was a true test of patience. I made it, got through lap 1 and lap 2, had a lead, then was hit by a missile at the last possible second to get passed up by Knuckles, that annoying mean red creature. At some point in the duration of this mess of a playthrough, I also went from 6th place to 1st place in the final lap, which got me an achievement, just saying. And I also finished a race in reverse because I had a ton of extra space, for Chivo, of course. This time it only took me 10 minutes to get back at least. I reversed what happened to me and did it to Sonic though. I was firmly in 2nd place, had a speed shoe, used that bad Larry to pass him up, and after about an hour and 25 minutes, Chivo time. I hope these start being quicker for me because this set isn't feasible for me to do in a week otherwise. We only got 1 more Grand Prix to do before we take a break from racing for a while and do something a little different. So let's grab Alex Kidd, who by the way, I played I think Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle on the plug-and-play SEGA console I had when I was a wee lad. I remember doing rock, paper, scissors all the time. But let's see how this cup goes. Race 1 W, race 2 barely made it over the finish line after I was hit. Oh yeah, we got the Monkey Ball stage, no problem. I'm goated. Race 4, call me Max Verstappen because I just won that thing. Okay, no more racing for a bit, and this is for a few reasons. With the difficulty gap between easy and normal, I was concerned that the difference between normal and hard was going to be similar, so my mental wouldn't be able to take that right now. And then also, this video would be boring if I just did the same thing for a 3rd time in a row, so we have 3 sets of achievement types we are going to go for before we get back into the hard mode races. They are the Mission Mode Chivos, which are just for 100%ing the mission mode. Then after we need to get certain times on time trials, which will definitely prepare us for hard mode. So mission mode is pretty neat. There are a handful of different challenge types, and we gotta make it up this pyramid, getting 10 stars on every single challenge. We'll get into how those stars work in a second, but for now, our first challenge is just a normal race in Whale Lagoon. Wow. How riveting. I think the CPUs are on easy here, so I just cruise my way through, as a result getting 10 stars on the first mission, which was enough to pop our first Chivo. Next mission is a coin collection stage in Studio Amigo. So this is where the star system starts to actually matter. Depending on how many coins you get, the more stars you're awarded at the very end. And like I said, in order to master this set, I need 10 stars on each and every of these 55 challenges. So I had to be very careful with my coin collecting, which was surprisingly hard to do. There wasn't a lot of leeway, it seemed here, so if I really missed anything, it was a fail on my part. I did learn that the time constraint wasn't all too bad though, so I was able to slow down a bit to help with my collecting. Then I had a Superman 64-esque go through the rings challenge, which, well, this one was basically straightforward, so not much to note here. Then we had a drift challenge where in order to get 10 stars, we need to drift at essentially every single moment, not just around turns. I learned this the hard way at the end of my first try, so I started to use this snaking technique to help, and done. This next one was fun. Big the Cat, shoot crabs on Whale Lagoon. You have to hit them all. But it was pretty sick going around and shooting the crabs on your lap around. Now, as Eggman, I had to make it to the finish line as fast as I could while avoiding the evil zombies. Not very challenging. I had to race through Rampart Road and get first place, nothing I haven't done before. Now we had to do a mobile game ad challenge. Go through the plus gates and don't go through the minus ones. Well, I'm smart enough and better than the average mobile game advertisement player and got through this like it was nothing because I can do first grade level math. At least that's one thing I'm capable of. Another boring race. God. But the 10th challenge, the yellow one here, is interesting. There are gates around this monkey ball styled sandbox, and what we gotta do is go through the green ones. And as you go through a green gate, the yellow ones turn green and the red ones turn yellow and the new one spawns in. So you can figure out which way you want to go next to maximize your gate usage. I struggled a bit at first, I'm not gonna lie, but I got it down on my second time and completely crushed the gate goal and got 10 stars, which got me a Chivo for getting every star in row 1. I'm gonna be honest, for the sake of runtime in this video, I'm gonna skip any challenge that are boring and just tell you about the cool ones. In stage 2, row 2 was a Big the Cat crab stage. Instead though, this time I needed to avoid them completely. They were placed in some pretty tough positions to the point where I actually did mess up this one a few times. First time to a crab in the underwater tunnel. This drifting one with Amy was pretty cool for treetop. Oh, in one of my attempts, I got an achievement for doing 100 different races / missions combined. But this one was cool because it honestly helped me get drifting down, so that later on when I have to do time trials in hard mode here, I've got the movement for it. The yellow stage for this row was time trial in Rokaku Hill, where I had to do that mobile game thing again, except this one was a bit tougher because it can kind of be hard for me to see the numbers in the middle. I mean, it still wasn't that hard, like 2 tries. Row 3 starts off with this zombie destroying challenge, which, like the Big the Cat one, I was a huge fan of. It's driving skill, aiming skill, and time management all in one. A new challenge type pops up in this row, a knockout race, which is like a regular race except the last player is eliminated every 30 seconds, but like it was just kind of a race. Oh, then there's this fun gate one where it's all around this small gazebo structure. Sometimes you get really tight turns and sometimes you gotta go out into the field. Something that I did notice though is that I was having trouble understanding the map. Like I would try to orient myself and I just couldn't do it. Probably a skill issue. Okay, this next gate one was also like gate mixed with color recognition. Sorry if you're colorblind. It'll say go to the green gates or go to the yellow or any. This row's yellow stage is super cool. It's an elimination battle. You need to avoid enemy attacks while hitting them yourself. You get items like a normal race, and last man standing wins. My strategy was to get in front and just send projectiles flying behind me. It took a while, but eventually it worked. Not very hard. I had a goat destruction section with Alex Kidd. Or what animal is this? These are called crows? They sure don't look like crows. Then we had a Big the Cat drift stage where I drifted for 10 seconds straight, which popped an achievement for me. And then when I was in Dark Arsenal as Dr. Eggman, I got another achievement for finishing a whole lap without being hit by hazards. I had a banana collecting thing here in treetops. Then I had another tough one with Big the Cat where I had to dodge speakers and cacti on the way to the end. In the past, these dodge missions weren't so bad, but for some reason this time I struggled. I think it's because, well, the stage is pretty narrow and the cacti are all over the freaking place, making you have to dodge and weave constantly. The yellow for row 4 was another fight level in Shibuya Town against Beat and BD Joe. Once again, spam backwards, Chivo. Sonic Gate fun time. Amy elimination race. BD Joe drift. Tails mobile game, Knuckles no hit, yellow stage zombie coin collector. Race, Shadow the Hedgehog, my greatest of all time taking out robots. Eggman drive in circles over and over again to get gates. This one was actually pretty satisfying to do. It was a loop-de-loop. Race again, then the yellow was another ring collector. Avoid the zombies as zombie, II knockout tour, race, Rokaku Hill race, where I think the CPUs are now on medium or hard because I did lose this one a few times. Crab Destruction for the Chivo. Big the Cat mobile game gates, which put me over 1 million miles for an achievement. Chewy drift mode, race time for another achievement. Then now for row 9, it was an Amigo mobile game gates, which granted me 2 achievements for beating all standard missions and beating them all with 10 stars. Then a banana collection for another achievement. And to end this whole mission mode off, an epic final battle with Sonic against Eggman where I had to hit him 3 times. This is gonna be hard. Well, I guess it wasn't difficult after all. 2 Chivos from that. Before we try to even think about tackling hard mode, I think it's time to go for the time trial achievements. These are broken down into a couple of categories, beating the game developer times, and then after that, beating some random times that the makers of this set decided on. I'm gonna do these in the order that the time trials menu places them. The first one, of course, is Whale Lagoon. I like II, so I'm gonna do these races as II. The way that the time trials work are as so. We're given 3 speed boosts, and we gotta get around the track as fast as possible. The big theme of the time trials is efficient drifting, since the good drifts give better boosts. I had to find the right spots and the right length per drift, and then the best spot to use the speed shoe I'm given per lap. My first time through Whale Lagoon, I got the achievement for submitting a time to the time trials, and I also surprisingly beat the staff time on this level too, so there's that. But I did have to make up over 3 seconds in order to get the Retro Achievements Chivo, so I went for some more runs. It took me quite a few tries to do. I kept inching closer and closer to that goal time, until this last run where I really tried to start and drift more. I started even trying to get boosts around the loop here and then using my boost after, which I think gave me just enough push to average around 34 seconds per lap, giving me the time trial achievement for Whale Lagoon. Up next is Lost Palace, where I continued on my drifting journey. I just held that button down as much as I could. There's this part by the jump here where I fell off the bridge a couple of times, which destroyed my time. But after my initial run of this stage, I got a 3:31:06, which did beat the staff time, but I need to shave off 6 or so seconds to get this next Chivo, which honestly came down to not falling off the map at all, which was easier said than done. But after a few tries, that was that, and I got a 3:21, destroying my 3:25 goal. The last beach level, Ocean Ruin, was a breeze. Seriously. Going in, I figured out a decent place to boost, drove around efficiently, and somehow managed to beat the staff and achievement time on my first go. Roulette Road was going well until I launched myself off the map for some reason and I had to restart. I was boosting around this section here with the mega drifts, and that seemed to work out for me. Try number 2 for this one. Pinball Highway, I was boosting through this long corridor section, and this one I finished on my first try. I think I'm starting to notice that these are very lenient, and if you're using this as a guide, well, my biggest advice is drift. And make sure you get maximum use out of your boost on each stage, and also do tricks when you can. I think the best way to do this section is by just showing you where I boosted on each level, then only breaking down the stages that were challenging for me. There aren't many, by the way. Now that I say that though, Bingo Party did give me some trouble at first because I wasn't using my boost at the proper part. At first I was using it on this section towards the start before the bingo ball jump, but I wasn't getting the speed I needed. I only had to save 2 more seconds for this achievement, which is kind of a lot considering my driving was pretty good. As it turned out, the best place to do this was with the gambling chips over here. I think since it's straight and has speed boosters, I could combo together shoe and boost to get maximum speed. Turbine Loop has a lot of straightaways to boost at, like this one. This Chivo was easy. Then the same for Dark Arsenal. Best place to boost is probably during the second straightaway up the hill. Also make sure to hit all boost pads. Thunderdeck took a couple of tries. I needed to get good drifts around the loops and take the top path for an extra trick boost towards the end. I'd use my boost shoe after the first loop. Treetops isn't actually too hard when you know the stage layout and where to drift from section to section. I'd boost off the falling part at the end, first try. Sandy Drifts, this one was one of the hardest time trials in the game. I'd bump around a lot, crashing into walls and whatnot. I would even fall off the stage sometimes. I use my boost at this wavy section, and by doing so, I'd get another extra boost sometimes. This one is one you need to just brute force. It's a tough one just because of how complex the stage is. Also, I managed to beat the stage here without falling off, so there's another Chivo coming at us. Monkey Target. This one became one of my favorites now. It is so satisfying to drift around the flying ship with all of the U-turns. 0 complaints. Also boost here. Icicle Valley is the easiest one. Just boost whenever you want really, and you can't possibly struggle on this one. There's really nothing here to mess you up. Rampart Road, my beloved. Boost right after the first hairpin, then make sure to take the alternate route, which I lost a couple of times. Also make sure to drift and boost around it. This takes a lot lot of skill, but I believe in you. Anyone can do it. Lava layer is next, and I do think this one is challenging. My boost spot was around this wood bridge. Probably the best place to do so because the rest of the level has super narrow roads, so you get a little leeway here. Studio Amigo. This one is baby mode. I mean, it's from Chow Cup, so I would boost here. Then Jump Parade, another wood bridge boost. Also with all of these levels, remember to trick and also combo tricks if you can. This is why II was so good. He had a super fast trick animation, so you can easily combo them. Sunfair, I don't like you. Good thing it only took one try though. Big boost here. Nice. Outer Forest is an easy one. Roads are wide, a lot of drift potential, and I like to boost here. Sewer Scrapes, I would boost in the big open zone when you go outside. And other than that, it was easy as pie, dude. Then for Deadly Route, I was boosting in the tower to get around that, and it worked. For Shibuya Town, I would boost here, and also made sure to get all of the boost panels. This one was tighter since the stage is tiny and not very complex. So naturally, my driving, boosting, and drifting had to be almost perfect. It took me quite a while, to be honest. Maybe 6 or 7 attempts. I was getting times 2 seconds off the goal, and I think it was because I was boosting just slightly too early. But eventually I got it. Thankfully, Rokaku Hill was easy mode, and then Highway 0 was easy as heck too. No problems here. Oh, what? That was the last time trial? So achievement for setting a time on every time trial, then for beating every staff time. Now, one more little category to do before hard mode. There are a bunch of miscellaneous achievements for me to grab. The first one is doing the tutorial, which I guess I skipped earlier. I don't know. Then I had to do a 6-second wheelie, so I went into Whale Laguna Shadow, pressed down on the D-pad, and we were good for that. After that, take out 3 opponents with an all-star ability. I tried to do it at first as Sonic, but it didn't really work. So I tried again as Eggman, who just spams missiles as his all-star move, and that did it for me. Next, I had to cross the finish line in first place with an all-star item activated. So I sat in the back, got the all-star item, and at the end of lap 3, activated it, and made it into first. Now I had to knock someone off a stage without using an item. This was honestly hard to do. I elected to go to Bingo Party and wait on this hill to try and knock someone as they drove by, but that strat wasn't working. So I kinda just did it normally, harassing Amigo. Next I had to turn into Supersonic twice in Ruined Ocean, which was very easy to do if you just sit on top of the item capsules. As Tails, I had to go into Pinball Highway, hit all 4 bumpers, and still win the race, which on easy mode makes this achievement kinda free. These CPUs suck. This was also the race that got me over 3 million miles total, which was big. As Billy Hatcher had to beat up 13 eggs in one race in Icicle Valley, I would just wait to get a speed shoe, verse behind this area of eggs, boost through them, repeat. Silly achievement. Next was to use Zobio and defeat 10 zombies in Korean Mansion, which was the same as what I just did with Billy Hatcher. And finally on Rokaku Hill, I had to use Beat to do 2 tricks in 1 jump. Not too hard. Now it is time for the thing I've been dreading since I realized medium mode was a mess and too hard for me. Hard mode Grand Prix. First we got Knuckles and Chow Cup. And to nobody's surprise, this was one of the harder ones in the hard mode. I think the devs made the CPUs extra good in this cup for some reason, because I felt pretty overwhelmed compared to some of the other cups. But the big issue here was Whale Lagoon. Who would have thought? This one is just a tough track since it's pretty short and has a lot of potential item capsules. Whether you win or not really comes down to a mix of skill driving, luck with items, and luck on getting attacked. My main strategy was to get in front and pocket either shield or homing missiles. That way if there was somebody coming to attack me, I could shield up, or if I was hitting someone past me, I could throw a missile right back. This core principle is pretty much what carried me all throughout hard mode. Of course, this still largely came down to luck. Like the first time I got out of Whale Lagoon, I was just completely bombarded by everything under the sun and had to restart again. Thankfully, Icicle Valley is a breeze, and so was Studio Amigo. So once I got off Roulette Road, I was chilling all the way to the end. This one took me close to 45 minutes, so quite a while. Graffiti Cup as beat though, the main challenge came from this first race. Like, look at how I was just barely passed up at the very end. Come on. It took me 5 tries to get out of just the first race alone. I think that it was really just an item issue. Once I got into Outer Forest though, things got easier. I was able to pocket a shield or 2, which saved me from missiles more than once. Then Turbine Loop was the same, drift boost to the end. Finally, Treetop. This one got scary. I started off way behind. There were points where I was in 6th, then 2nd, then 5th. It was scary. At the end of lap 3, I was neck and neck with BD Joe, and I got lucky enough to have a boost shoe so I could blast down the drop and barely get first for the Chivo. Using Eggman in Egg Cup, I easily got through the first race. Same with the second, same with the third, and then barely clawed my way into first place, only to get hit by an item last second to lose in the cup in the last one. Well, I guess it would have been too easy to get this cup done on my first try. Eventually I made it back and got through this cup too. For Horror Cup, I had to use the zombie himself, which was very fitting. I'm gonna be honest, the difficulty gap between medium and hard is barely noticeable for me. For the most part, it felt like I was just doing medium again. So I got through track 1, track 2, and track 3 no problem, although that last one was close. And for Rokaku Hill, I just blasted through for the Horror Cup hard mode achievement. Now Amigo and Samba Cup. This one was actually a killer for me. Track 1 was a completely insane item spam fest, but track 2 is where things went bad for me. This is a tough one, because there are so many places where the CPUs can get boosts to take you over, and a lot of places for items as well. So if you aren't lucky with your item pulls and miss a few boost pads along the way, you're going to just barely lag behind. Mix that with Sunfair being stage 1, this is a formula for completely rage-inducing sadness. Well, after dozens of tries at this cup, I made it out of track 2 thanks to speed boost and made it into Deadly Route, where I just kept bumping things, but I ended up in first somehow. Then the final track, Ocean Ruin, let's just say we did it. Now back to Monkey Cup with, well, the monkey. This one wasn't too bad. I had some mishaps here and there, but II is like the best character in my opinion, and we've done all of these stages a lot now, so it's kind of easy breezy. Now, although we've done all of the cups on hard, we still have a few more Chivos in this category. Now I had to do either Chow, Egg, or Monkey Cup on hard as Sonic. I decided on Monkey Cup since, well, I just did it. Man, I love this stage. It's my favorite. I love going around and it's really satisfying. Well, that was easy. The last hard mode achievement is either Graffiti, Horror, or Samba Cup as Ryo, who we haven't even unlocked yet. So doing that along with buying all of the music got us the High Roller achievement. Then went into the Horror Cup because I like it. Sewer Scrapes here. At first, I was so far behind, I got an All-Star item. Only time in the hard mode Grand Prix that I used an All-Star item, actually. But I somehow made it back into first, and an achievement popped since I had completed a race with every single character in the game. Unfortunately, though, in that Monkey Ball level, I failed pretty bad and decided to go back out and try Graffiti Cup. This time, I made it all the way to Treetops and ended up lap 3 in 5th place. But again, like I had done before in this stage, I barely made my way into first place by passing Sonic with a little homing missile at the very last second. Wait, all the hard modes done. What do we have left for achievements? Oh my. I need to get 4 million miles. I need 500,000 more miles in order to master this set. And I had to look up the most efficient way to rack up miles because this strat here was not working. As it turns out, the best thing you can do is go into a single race, turn off hazards, 1 CPU for Dark Arsenal, set the game up to 5 laps, then I just pressed the fast forward key and played the game at this speed, by the way. Surprisingly not hard. You can't really fall off the stage. Then, well, after a half hour of just this over and over again, I hit 4 million miles, unlocking Golden Axe as our 99th and final achievement. This set was honestly a grind to get through. Not my favorite, but honestly not bad. I recommend it to anyone who has played this game extensively as a kid. I'd give it a 5 out of 10, but like a strong 5 out of 10. I'm like Fantano out here. Anyways, only 9% of enough already!